Start with Sloka 7.
यत् पञ्चकोशात्मकमस्ति देहम्
यत् पञ्चकोशात्मकमस्ति देहम्
तदन्तरा किं भुवनं चकास्ति तदन्तरा किं
भुवनं चकास्ति
देहं विना पञ्चविधं तदेतत्
देहं विना पञ्चविधं
तदेतत् पश्यन्ति के वा भुवनं भणन्तु
पश्यन्ति के वा भुवनं भणन्तु
यत् पञ्चकोशात्मकमस्ति देहं तदन्तरा किं भुवनं चकास्ति देहं विना पञ्चविधं तदेतत् पश्यन्ति के वा भुवनं भणन्तु.
Here Bhagavan is trying to point us, Yat asti panchakosatmakam deham tad bhuvanam asti. Means, as long as I have the notion that I am this panchakoshas. Panchakosha means 5 koshas. This is where Bhagavan Ramana is taking the Vedantic knowledge here. Panchakoshas are discussed in the Taittiriya Upanishad. And that reminds me, that Sri asked me to remind to everyone who has attending the Upanishad classes, Taittiriya Upanishad classes we are running, those who are in Virginia, we are running on the Sundays, every Sunday from 6 to 8:30 in Shyam Horavali's place. Those who are registered, it's good. Those who want to still come, those are from Virginians, who still want to come get the information from Sri. And that's on every Sundays. So there in the Upanishad talks about, we haven't come to that stage yet, Panchakosha, the 5 koshas. So 5 koshas is this Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, the Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha and Anandamaya kosha. Kosha is a sheath, and sheath is that which is covering. A covering is only because I cannot see something other than it. That's why it is covering, not that physically covering. And this Annamaya means this is a food sheath. That which is born out of food, sustained by food, goes back into food, is food sheath. That is the body, the gross body. And the mind is Manomayam. Mayam means it's pervades by the mind. Just now we answered what is mind and what is intellect. And that mind, all the feelings. So I love her. So how do you mean I love her? Or what does it mean? So I have a feeling that I love her. That means I want her. So whatever that feelings are, it is expressed through the mind. And the bhavana basically. And that is called Manomayam. Means it is a kosha, means it locks you in that sense. I get cocooned in that. I am a body. Is where I feel I am the only body. So body pains become my pain. When body is not comfortable, I am not comfortable. And association with the body becomes my problem. Problems of the body becomes my problem. Body will have problem. But I don't have a problem unless I identify with the body as I am the body. The Manomayam is the mind, psychological problems. Most of the problems are here. See, when the child is having a problem, physical, so if there is a pain or something, it experiences the pain, physical pain. But mother also has a pain seeing the child's pain. So her problem is not physical pain. She cannot experience the baby's pain. She doesn't know what is causing the problem. At the same time, mother is having a pain by having attachment to the child. So mind problem is psychological problems associated with the attachments. So there is a demarcation, one has to be careful, where the worry versus concern. There is a demarcation. You should be concerned about your child health, what need to be done. But worrying about this is a psychological problem that comes from the attachment. Okay? So here the distinction is, it becomes a kosha. Kosha means it becomes a bondage, locks you in, and that your mind is always going, you cannot think anything higher than that. That's what means a kosha means. So I don't know what's going to happen to my child, I don't know what's going to, even the child has grown up and he's not worried about anything, he's just enjoying there. But I'm sitting here worrying about him, or him or her, whatever. That's because my attachment. Particularly the Indian parents, they don't leave the children because children have grown up. Your duty as a parent is to make sure they are independent. That's what your as a parenting is. Once they are independent, they have to go. You came out without your parents or somewhere else, and you came all the way into the country without any problem. You are doing very well. And if you could do very well, I'm sure the children can do better. So understand that that child has to grow up. Even if they make mistakes, they learn out of the mistakes. Because that's what they need in that process. Make sure, but be available as an advisor at a stage. Once you go, you don't hold on to them. They should be free enough to. So here, that is a kosha. Manokosha means those becomes a bondage. And intellectual kosha is even more subtler. People are engraved in their own theories and fight among them. So remember, just now we said all Vadas are useless, but people spend their life on that. If you go and talk to a Advaitin, you are finished. Visishtadvaitin, all this logical deduction, say what is correct, more is correct, this Vedanta says that way, no, the Vedanta does, all that becomes a problem, even at an intellectual level. This is true. Even I find in science, because being a scientist, I know what the problems are. People, even in the science, they are supposed to be after the truth. They get entangled with their own theories and cannot come out of that. They fall into those grooves. And this becomes, even Vedanta also becomes a problem. If I it says Vedanta is meant as a mirror to show you what you are in comparison to what you think you are. That's all the Vedanta is. Vedanta is not, I want to become an expert in Vedanta. Brahma Sutra says this way, this was, in this Upanishad says this way, there is a contradiction. Say, first look at the truth. First, there is no contradiction in the truth. All contradictions are in your mind. So if I understand, that's why you have to approach a proper teacher so that Shastram and Guru, that Vijnanasva Gurum eva abhigacche. Shastra doesn't say Shastram eva. It says you approach a teacher who teaches the Shastra. A teacher is the one who directs the disciple to Shastra as a pramana, not to himself. Shastra says, and I am teaching this. This is my understanding. It doesn't say I am the authority. No teacher will tell you. No Vedantic teacher will tell you. Or should tell you. Or should tell. And that is a proper teacher. A proper teacher is the one who directs and makes you to think and understand so that you are on your own from then on, analysis-wise. And that becomes an intellect, also becomes a kosha. So this pancha kosha and Anandamaya is the sleep state, where you are in the Anandam. It's Mayam, not Ananda Swarupam. The difference between a sleep and Advaita understanding is, this we discussed in the Mandukya Upanishad class. Says it is Ananda Mayam only. Mayam means it's only filled with that understanding that I am happy here, but not understanding my nature itself is happiness. So that also becomes a kosha. People want to go to that sleep state to experience thoughtless state. People, it's not thoughtless state. The understanding is even with the thoughts also, I am Brahman. That should be correct understanding. Here it says pancha koshas. So as long as you think you have these koshas, asti, yad asti, tad bhuvanam asti. This is just in the same way, devo tadantara kim bhuvanam chakasti. Says, as long as the body and all the koshas are there, you also say the world is there and everything else is there. That means I see the world, existence of the world, and realize the reality of the world. When I realize I am real and this is real, all that is there. Suppose you don't have any of this. All the panchakosas, deham vina pancha vidhim tadastid. Pasyanti keva bhuvanam bhunantu. This next sloka also is going to talk about this a little bit. This It's called prapancham, right? Prapancham is prakarshena, or the through pancha. Panchakosa is in the analysis of the next sloka comes where I am perceiving the world through the five senses. That's how the prapancha comes also. Is because of the birth of the five sense organs also. So we'll analyze that at that time. But here, deham vina panchavidhim tadaidatu pasyanti keva bhuvanam bhanantu. So let me see anybody to say that there is a world out there if there are no panchakoshas. That means the world out there and I am here, all that come because of my identification with the panchakoshas. When I identify, I am this, therefore that is so. I is there, the first person, therefore you are the second person, and he is there, the third person. All that come because I is there. I am putting I quote unquote is there. Not like I quote unquote is that I notion is there. As long as I notion is there, the world is there, and Ishvara, the creator of the world. But myself, if the Panchakoshas are not there, if the body is not there, then who is going to say that there is a world out there or God out there? So God, world, the Jagat and Ishvara come with Jiva notion also. Okay, remember Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara divisions. It's like if you pull one, everything will come. Like three stools fixed together, any leg you pull, all the thing. If one thing is removed, all the things are removed. That's why in the deep sleep state, I don't have a notion of I am a Jiva, there is no world, nor Ishvara. So if they come together, they come all together. If they disappear, they all disappear together. So therefore, as long as I have the notion that I am the body with the Panchakoshas, therefore there is a world also out there. That's the sloka.
Shabdadirupam bhuvanam samastam.
Shabdadirupam bhuvanam samastam.
Shabdadi satyendriya vritti bhasya.
Shabdadi satyendriya vritti bhasya.
Satyendriyanam manaso vashe syat.
Satyendriyanam manaso vasesyat.
Manomayam tad bhuvanam vadamaha. Manomayam tad
bhuvanam vadamaha.
Shabdadirupam bhuvanam samastam. Shabdadi satyendriya vritti bhasya. Satyendriyanam manaso vashisyat. Manomayam tad bhuvanam vadamaha.
This is a sloka that's based on epistemology. Epistemology is the science of knowledge. How the knowledge takes place. And here Bhagavan says, the world is infinite. There's so many things in the world, but my world is finite. Even though the world, the entire universe is infinite, there are so many things, galaxies and galaxies. We don't know how many life forms. Is there any life in other planets? If there are beings, all that I do not know. But as far as I am concerned, my life and my world is finite and limited by my five senses. Follow now? So, Sabdadibi means Sabda, Adi, etc. Sabda, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Something I missed. Sabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. So, these are the five senses that Jnanendriyas are there, from which I get the Jnanam of the world. That's called their Jnanendriyas. So what I see at my whole life, if I look at everybody's life, if you look at how much of the world that you really experience in your life, right? Because even this world, even Washington is so big, how much of Washington you really experience every day? Your house, office, in between, maybe Chinmaya mission, weekends. This is all the world that you go through, and how many people, how much of people that you experience or interact with, all are limited, and a small speck in the whole universe itself. All that is because whatever you can experience is experienced by these five senses. Five senses are finite, their vision is finite. And each one has its own limit of observation, of field of experience. Eyes can only see colors and forms, right? Eyes cannot hear. Eyes can only see. Ears can only hear. So each field of experience that each sense organ experiences is finite, fixed in that area. So like that, all the five senses can only have their own field, each do not interfere, except the tongue. Tongue has two senses, right? One is Jnanendriya. In that also, Karmendriya also it does. Also its sparsa, it can touch and taste also, right? From the Jnanendriya's point. That's why this is, if you can control the tongue, you control the whole universe. Only if you don't know what to eat, what not to eat, if you can control. And also how to talk properly, Karmendriyas. It's also Vedanta gives you the, for that you have to attend the Upanishad class, right? Jishve madhumattama says, let my tongue be sweet. Not that you have to drink a lot of honey, but it means it should be, the speech should be sweet. But anyway, sabda means all the five sense organs. Sabdadi pancha, what is that? Sabdadi pancha, panchavireva pancha, panchatvama pusvagunena baddhaha, kuranga matanga patanga meena, brunganara panchaviranchitam kim. It is in the Vivekachudamani comes. Sabdadi pancha, sabdadi pancha bireva pancha. That what it says is, any of these five insects, when they are attached to one aspect of it itself, is enough for them to get doomed out of it. Like Meena means the fish is like the rasam, the food it takes, and that itself becomes a problem for it because it gets people use a bite to catch the fish, right? Like that, the five senses, and each animal get trapped by one itself. And here is a man is attached to all of them. What a fate of that person! This is the Vivekachudamani sloka is there, beautiful sloka. Anyway, so whatever the world that I experience is through the five senses. Now, from the epistemological point, whatever I just gave you the idea of how the knowledge takes place, whenever I see an object, because the world is nothing but objects, assemblage of objects. So whenever I see an object, I am seeing through my five senses only. If it is sound, I hear the music and all that through the sound. Or if it is something to enjoy the food, to the taste. All the five senses are operating. What I see, what I hear, and what I taste, what I touch, all five senses are attributes of the object only through these five sense organs. So the world is there as long as my five senses are working. If I cannot hear for some reason or other, then one is gone, right? I can only see, and people will be shouting in my ears, all that. I become a nuisance for a lot of people also. So every sense organ is limited from that point. Therefore, the world that I perceive or experience is limited because of these five senses. And the world in reality I cannot really see. The fact, from the point of real truth, if I am color blind, the colors may be real, but I cannot see because I cannot distinguish the colors, right? So my world is fixed because of that. In the same way, all sense input from the world is limited by these five senses. So the world, bhuvanam, this is what is this world, is nothing but what senses gather. This is the reason why I have errors in the senses also. Why I am making a mistake, whether it is snoop or the rope, only because my senses are only bringing those attributes which are common for both the snake and the rope, are not enough to differentiate or distinguish a the snake from a rope, and therefore they are common factors that are there only bringing, not those attributes that can differentiate rope from the snake. And therefore I think it can be a rope or a snake, but I'm afraid of the snake, therefore I think it is a snake. The fear takes over. But the reason is attributes are incomplete or not discriminative enough to know what is the truth. Because these senses cannot grasp, for whatever reason, whether the things are not conducive, not enough light, or my hearing problem or listening problem or seeing problem, whether it is defective senses or conducive environment is not there. Therefore, I am not grasping as it is, but as I see it. Always. And Vedanta says it's the same problem. I am not able to see the truth, that it is nirgunam, nirakaram, all that, because my senses, remember, is not able to perceive that Sat Chit Ananda Swarupam. I am only seeing attributes of an object which is a superimposition, not the existence that supports the object. Because all my knowledge is only through the senses. Therefore, I had to go beyond. So every knowledge can take place through a means of knowledge. That's called pramana. So any prama means knowledge, can take place provided I operate. I am a pramata, this is a prameyam, and this is a pramanam. Follow? Pramata is a knower, prameyam is object that is to be known, and the relation between me has to be established by a means of knowledge, because I am there and object is there. If I don't see, there is no object for me. So pramana has to operate for prama to take place. Prama is knowledge. Prama means knowledge. If the senses are not able to grasp properly as it is, then it can be Brahma. Brahma is error in perception based on sense input. So this is all, this analysis is done, whether it is really silver or is a shell or this shell silver, all that is exhaustively analyzed. If I start that lecture, you will go to sleep. Because it's it's a pure science, basically. But remember, in all this, a conscious entity investigating about the objects. So all knowledge has to take place through a pramana. Now let's go to Vedanta. Is this a knowledge or not? That I am Brahman has to be understood. That is a knowledge. I need a pramana for understanding. Pramana it is not perceptible, it cannot be seen. Because Brahman cannot be seen, right? We just now said existence is imperceptible. You cannot see the existence. It pervades everywhere. Then what is the pramana for me to see the truth? That's why it's called Shabda Pramana. You have the perception, that's called the direct perceptual experience, and there is Anumana Pramana, that I cannot see, but I can deduce from what I see. It's called logic. Logic is all sciences are based on this Anumana. I can gather the data, experimental data, from that, which means what I see, either through my eyes or using microscope or telescope, whatever, that is the seeing or grasping the information, that's the data. From the data, I have to deduce what is the cause for that behavior. That's the logic. And the logic itself has to be substantiated by another data. That means even Anumana has to be substantiated by Pratyaksha only. There is a smoke, there is a fire on the distant hill. If I say, I don't see the fire, I am only seeing this hill and the smoke, but I deduce there is to be fire there, even though I don't see the fire, because wherever there is a smoke, there has to be fire. That's called logic. Just like in the kitchen. That's what Drishtanta. Drishtanta means, just like, that's an example. Yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra agnihi. This is analyzed. I'm not just doing this, is analyzed exhaustively by the way. And error in perception can occur if the attributes don't bring properly, because the senses can only bring the attributes. So without going into the analysis, the understanding is I need a pramana for knowledge, number one, and for the seeing myself what I am, truth. Vedanta is pramana or Shabda pramana, because it's Shruti pramana. Shruti means you have to hear through a teacher. That's what said the pramana is. Here is Sabdadi Rupa Bhuvanam Samastam Bhuvanam, says Sabdadi Rupam. It's only in the forms that one can perceive through all the five senses, Jnanendriyas. So Sabdadi Satyendriya Vrittivasya Satyendriyanam Manaso. So all this existence of the object is established by the knowledge of its existence. I made some statement, I don't know if you catch that. Existence of an object is established by the knowledge of its existence. Otherwise, I cannot know whether the object exists or not. Let me repeat again. There is a chair out there. How do you know? Because I am seeing it. So the existence of the chair out there established by the knowledge of its existence through my mind, through this one. Without the knowledge of its existence, the existence of the object out there cannot be established. Right? The logic is clear. So, the world is out there because I am experiencing, therefore, because of the experience, therefore there is a knowledge that comes of the existence of the world out there. If I don't experience that world, then I do not know whether the world is there or not. Now, I had in your house, I had you had a. I already used Gaga Bubu, right? Anyway, I heard you have Gaga Bubu in your house. Can you bring it next time tomorrow? Say, what is that, sir? I don't know, but I heard you have it. So what do you say? You don't know what it is, and I don't know what it is. How are you going to bring it? So existence of Gaga Bubu in your house is established by the knowledge of its existence only, right? That you should know and I should know. At least I should tell you, Gaga-Bubu looks like this, it is a form. So I have to give you the attributes of the Gaga-Bubu so that you can go and search for that kind of one object that have that attribute, so that you say, hey, this is what he is referring to Gaga-Bubu. So here, Sabdadiru, all the perceptual knowledge of the world out there is established only through the sense organs. And if the sense organs can function only when there is a mind behind blessing the sense organs. Right? Out of mind, you may bring all sorts of chairs, but I won't see. Out of mind, out of sight. So mind has to be there supporting the sense organs. Without the mind, sense organs will not work. My ears will be there and I will not be hearing because I am sleeping. My mind has gone. So, The world is, now what are we reducing? The world, although infinite, is reduced to all the world is only what I can experience. Rest of the world I don't know. Even it exists or not, I cannot say. There may be some person somewhere in Indonesia walking now somewhere. I won't know. Right? There may be millions of people. Even in Washington, D.C., there may be a lot of people I won't know. So my world is fixed based on my experience. And with that only I have all problems. With that experience of a small little world that I am experiencing, I have problems. Oh, he is this, he is that, she is that. All good. Every time two people talk, they talk about all the problems in the whole world that is there. What is that world? All that is because there is a mind and interpretation. All that is coming. And if there is no mind, and if there is none of this, where is the world? Mind is, world is. When there is no mind, there is no world. That's what happens in the deep sleep state. Mind is folded, you are in Advaita. But that's called real, not real Advaita, it is potential Dvaita. All things are folded only, not understood. So here, Manomayam tad bhuvanam vadamaha. Therefore, world is nothing but Manomayam itself. It is the mind projection of the whole thing only as it interprets and takes through the five senses. So now you have to be careful here. It's not mind is creating the world. You have to be careful. My mind doesn't create this world. The world creation is by the total mind. Remember I told you, my mind, my world, your mind, your vasanas, you create your world and his vasanas. So the total vasanas of all things together is the total world, and the total vasanas assemblage is Ishvara himself. That is Maya Shakti that comes into picture. Just as when I go to dream, when I create the dream world, there are variety of things are there, where I am creating the whole universe there. That one mind, creating the varieties of human beings, as well as animals, as well as trees, as well as the inert land also there. All that is created in my dream world, one mind, projecting in many things. At that time also projecting myself as a tiny fellow in my own dream as one person, and looking at the whole world says, where did this world come from? If you ask the question, says only one mind creating all that. Where is that mind? It is in his mind, in that mind. Every mind of every tiny person in my own dream is nothing but one mind permeating all that too. Right? So including the tigers that is chasing me, including the forest, including all other people who are sympathizing me, everybody there in the dream are one mind only, creating as though plurality. I think he is different, she is different, he is different, all the problems in the mind, in my own dream I can have all the problems also. But if I say wake up to that, realize that it is one mind only projecting the whole thing too. That is a realization. In the same way here, without the mind, where is the world? Even from the local point, even though I have individual small mind, whatever this mind sees through the sense organs, all the words that is very limited. And if I take off the world, there is no mind. World is so. So world, mind comes, the world comes. Mind goes, the world goes. But I am not coming and going. I am there all the time. That is the real truth also. So Manomayam tad bhuvanam vadamaha. Therefore I call it, the whole world is nothing but projection of my mind also, as a local mind too. Yeah, go ahead.
Diya sahodeti diyastameti.
Diya sahodeti diyastameti.
Lokastatodhi pravibhasya eshaha.
लोकस्ततोधि प्रविभास्य एषः
धीलोकजन्मक्षयधाम पूर्णम् धीलोकजन्मक्षयधाम
पूर्णम्
सद्वस्तु जन्मक्षयशून्यमेकम् सद्वस्तु जन्मक्षयशून्यमेकम् धिया सहोधेति धियास्तमेति लोकस्ततोधि प्रविभास्य एषः धीलोकजन्मक्षयधाम पूर्णम् सद्वस्तु जन्मक्षयशून्यमेकम्.
So continuing the same argument in this, so dhiya saha udeti, dhiya saha astameti. This world comes into being when the mind is awake. The world goes down when the mind goes away. So when mind is, the world is. When there is no mind, there is no world. Therefore, where is the world separate from the mind? Follow now? All together coming in. Say, lokastato dhi pravibhasya eshaha. So, the shining of the whole world comes along with the mind, and it is udeti and astameti. Dhi means here it says, dhi is the ahankara. So, loka janma kshaya dhama purvam. So, here the Bhagavan asks us, says, where do these things come from? You say, the mind is coming, the world is coming. The mind is disappearing, the world is disappearing. But where is they coming from? What is the source? Look for where it comes. And that is Sadvastu. That is the absolute reality that doesn't come and go. Because this Sadvastu, Janma Kshaya Sunyam Ekam. That is beyond any birth or death. So Kshaya means disintegration. So these two, the birth of the nation, birth of the world, or birth of the mind are together. When the mind rises only, when I'm deep sleep state, there is no world. Right? There is no duality of anything. Once mind is there, that is in the waking state and the dream state, the mind is functioning. Therefore, there is a world out there that the mind is observing. In the dream state, there is a local mind, small mind that I create myself as in my dream. I create myself also as a subject there, looking at the world as if it is separate from me. So all the experience this is exhaustively analyzed in the Mandukya Upanishad. So I don't want to go into detail because we took it 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Where the waking state and the dream state and the deep sleep state are analyzed exhaustively. But here in the same way, just as I in the dream state think that they are separate from me, all coming from the same mind, but one mind, local mind, thinks other minds are different. In the same confusion occurs even in the waking state. I think I am this mind and that is separate from me. All that identifying myself with the locality, the location as I am this and therefore I am not that. But if I understand I am not this, this is only an object, I am not an object, I am a subject, I am the conscious entity, I am existent entity that pervades all this and that as well as I am also. So shifting my attention to the very cause for all this, that which provides the basis. Because thoughts rise in my mind, sustain in my mind, they go back into my mind. All thoughts are nothing but centered on the objects out there. So all the objects are nothing but the thoughts in my mind, thoughts that come, thoughts that are sustained, thoughts that go back. The mind is still a pool in which it is rising, but I am conscious of all the thoughts that is coming and going. I am not coming and going. No janma for me, no kshaya for me. And that is the Sadvastu. That is the absolute reality or substantive for all this drama that goes on. Itself is unaffected. It is ekam and janma kshaya sunyam. There is no janma, and all the janma and the problems are asti jayate buddhati. All 6 modifications of that is only belong to the body, not for me itself. Body means both the physical as well as the subtle body, gross and subtle. So here the Bhagavan asks us, inquire into the source for all this. And that's is independent of janma. The source, that Sat Swarupam, is independent of any origin or any destruction itself. Okay, next.
Bhavantu saddarshana sadhanani. Bhavantu saddarshana sadhanani. Parasya nama kritibhis saparyaha. Sadvastu niprapta tadatma bhava.
Sadvastu niprapta tadatma bhava.
Nishtaiva saddarshanamityaveti. Saddarshanamityavehi. Bhavantu saddarshana sadhanani. Parasya nama kritibhis saparyaha. Sadvastu niprapta tadatma bhava. Nishtaiva saddarshanamityavehi.
Sir, you have been talking about this mind and this and all that. You forgot about God completely. I came to this camp so that I can see God. Even though there's no registration fee, but I thought I can see the Lord, Ishvara. So, where is Ishvara in this? We have been analyzing all the time about Jiva and Atma and so on. And Bhagavan here sees a diversion from Atma Vichara to Ishvara Vichara. So, Bhavantu Saddarshana Sadhanani. So here this is people are going to temples and all this and all that pujas, everything is being done. Why don't they attend just Saddarshana class? Then they know everything, the truth. Says no, don't bother them. Here, those who are doing all the rituals and all that, where puja, all that rituals that people do, let that go on. Okay, don't disturb that. Because that's what they need for them to evolve. So, the Lord is out there, I am as a jiva, and the prayers, all those are important until I grow up. So here, the first 2 lines is saparyaha. Saparya means the puja here. And says, Bhavantu, let them do. Let the puja can go on. Says, saddarshanam. Sadatmani says, parasya nama akruta abhihi. So, this parasya means the vision of the Lord. Say, I want to see the Lord. Says, all that is important as long as I think the Lord is out there. So, for many people, this is what they are comfortable with. You cannot talk about, says you are God or you are the total, they are not ready to accept. How can I be God? And so if you go to Advaitins, he will hit you with. so this, let the continue to those rituals are important and they have a role to play in its place until the mind becomes mature enough. Okay? So this teaching is not for everybody. A lot of people, if you want to teach them, they won't attend also. Because they are comfortable. If you go to a lot of temples, they just go and do puja and arati and then tell Lord, give me this, give me that. And says, if I do this puja, you will get that. And if you offer, and if you go to Tirupati, a lot of people, I give my hair, please give me this. And I give my... All those things will go on. Let that continue. Don't interfere, because that's all they think. Lord is someone who gives. At least they are going there to recognize that the Lord is the one to give. So Krishna himself says there are 4 types of bhaktas, right? Artho, Artharthi, Jignasu, Jnani Nincha Bharatarishabha. So there are 4 types, of which Jnani is the highest bhakta. He himself says that. Other things is not. Desperately you are desperate. Even, that's why I told that joke already, but anyway, in the Upanishad class, you think you get a good place in the heavens, but the Chennai auto drivers get the better place there. Because Chennai auto drivers, because they are converting lot of people from Nastikas to Astikas. Because everybody who sits in that auto rickshaw will start praying, "Oh Lord, please save me." Please save me. So they become believers. That's why they get a better place in heaven. So let them pray. That becomes important until you go. Until you realize that God is not out there, God is in me. So it is that soham abhida bhavana pavani mata. The Ramana Maharshi says in the Upadesasara, the abhida bhavana, there is no difference between he and me. That meditation is highest meditation. Because I am seeing the Lord out there, but Lord is in my mind also. Lord is enlivening until I become one with Him. Because any bhakti involves, bhakti is a love for higher, called devotion. Love for the lower is called lust, right? Love for the higher is the devotion. Both are loves. One is falling in love. Falling in love is falling down. Whereas you raise in devotion, and when you are devoted, what happens in either one? You become one with the deity. Any love involves joining. I love my wife. It says, I and my wife, we think alike, we are one alike, although with 2 bodies, we are one together. No disparity in thinking. That is what the ultimate love is. A unity of 2. That's what is Namaskaram also is meant for that. Yourself, myself are one. And that unity, any love has to bring in. I say, I love my wife, but if but comes, this is, I want this and she wants that, means they are differentiating out. That means love is not there. I love you as long as you fill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 conditions are fulfilled. I love you. But that means what I love is those conditions to be fulfilled. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. This is what in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the husband teaches the wife. My lady, you don't love me. You love happiness, that I bring it. As long as I bring happiness, you love me. Because I am bringing happiness. If I bring misery, you will ask me to get out. But he tells wife also. Wife doesn't love husband. What she loves is happiness that the husband brings. What I love is myself, because the happiness is from myself only. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. I love pizza. Why? Because pizza brings me happiness. If pizza brings me unhappiness all the time, no more pizza from tomorrow, right? Any object I love, there is because. Right? Do I love myself? Why? No because. I love myself without any conditions. I love myself absolutely. I love everything else for some reason, but I love myself because, no because. Because that's my nature. Because I am the Ananda Swarup. Happiness is coming from myself only. So, says that is the absolute, this one. But devotion is that which takes me to higher until my mind wants to see the Lord. Say, I want Lord, I want pratyaksham, I want to see the Lord. If you do upasana according to the scriptures, you can see the Lord in the way that you have imagined. Okay? A Lord is in this form, then Lord will be in that form and will appear to you, provided you do that upasana properly according to the scriptures. Remember in the Upanishad talks we talk about you have to follow the swaras properly, everything has to be done exactly. Mundaka Upanishad talks about that. Swamiji took last time. It says, if you do the rituals according to the rules and regulations without all the T's and all those dots and all that properly, then you will get the result as promised. But you have to make sure you do properly. Therefore, one can have sakshatkaram of the Lord. But what happens when sakshatkaram of the Lord? Lord will come and appear to you, suppose. You will see the Lord and you talk to the Lord also. Other people sitting around there, they cannot see the Lord because they have not done that upasana. They cannot see the Lord. And they cannot hear Him also. But they can hear you talking to the Lord. He said, I told not to go to Chinmaya mission. This fellow has been going and now he is talking to himself. You are talking to the God. That's what your understanding. But everybody thinks you are talking to yourself. Gone case. Why? Because you only can see the Lord. There's a story actually. One Mahatma was doing a puja in the tank, doing the whatever the Sandhyavandanam and all that. Yes, the fellow is very literate and he was very nice gentleman and all that. He was going there. It says he was taking care of all the buffaloes and all that. So he says, Mahanbha, what are you doing? What are you doing there? So he said, this fellow is disturbing. I am doing all mantras and I should not chant in front of these fellows and all that. I am trying. No, he is disturbing all. He was getting irritated. No, I am trying to see the Lord. My God, you want to see? Say, I also want to see the Lord. So how can I teach him all these mantras? He is not supposed to chant all these mantras because he is not Brahmin and so on. So I cannot teach him. So what should I say? That buffalo is your Lord. Don't worry about it. Oh, really? Yes, that's it. Oh, thank you for much. Now you inform me. So from then on, he took the buffalo is really the Lord. Oh, buffalo, oh Lord, come on, please come. And so he is taking care of so much about the buffalo. But he has to ride on the buffalo also. Oh Lord, please take me there. Going around. And he was communicating with the buffalo and buffalo started talking to him. Because the Lord is there in the buffalo also. And he was convinced, oh my God, this man showed me the truth and I could see the Lord and all that. And again he was coming with this buffalo, he was coming and he was still praying there on the tank. He says, what are you doing? I'm praying the Lord. Why are you praying there? Lord is here in the buffalo. So, but this fellow is, what do you mean, buffalo is the Lord? I said, Lord he's praying, sitting there and doing his sandhyavandanam or whatever, and this man is disturbing that the buffalo is, because he told himself that buffalo was the Lord, and he believed that buffalo was the Lord. And now he is telling this, buffalo, the Lord is here, why are you praying there? He said, get out of here. He was abusing him. He says, please tell him he's a very nice man. He's Lord, oh Lord, please talk to him. You are here. Tell him that you are here. So he's requesting buffalo to talk to that man. And buffalo talks. Even if I talk, he cannot hear. It means essentially, even if the Lord comes in any form, number one, no one else can see, no one else can hear. They think you have become crazy. Right? But what does he do when he comes and then he has to go? What that comes has to go. Then what is he going to do afterwards when he leaves? You will tell Tom, hey, I have seen the Lord. So what happens if you go and tell everybody else, I have seen Krishna and all that, what everybody will think? This fellow is gone. So that is not Ishvara Darshanam. You cannot see the Lord in the form. If you see the Lord in the form will go away and you are left without the Lord. If the Lord is so compassionate, if He comes, He has to teach you that you don't have to look for the Lord anywhere. He has to become a teacher to teach you. That's all the Lord will come and tell. That's why you don't need to go. It says Saddarshanam class. It says enough to know where the Lord is. Because Saddarshanam is Ishvara Darshanam. There is no separate Lord out there. It is the Lord that is very essence of everything. That which is divisionlessness is the Lord Himself. And all other divisions are supported by that divisionlessness. Essentially, it says, let the people pray for the Lord, but what sadvastani praptada atmabhava, the one who is understanding that sadvastu, that which is ever existent principle that I am, is there, that nishtha eva, this saddarshanam, and saddarshanam iti avehi. Avehi means know that is the Ishvara Darshanam and that is the Saddarshanam. What is that? That I am, the very existence in you is very Saddarshanam. That's what the scriptures takes you. It says, you pray the Lord until you reach a stage and it takes the carpet right underneath. This is not the Lord. You need the Lord until I can take my mind higher and higher. Then I had to leave that notions also of the Lord out there. And the Kenopanishad tells you, yat chakshusha na pasyati, yena chakshum se pasyati, tadeva brahma tvam viddhi, nedam yididam upasate, that which you cannot see. Yat chakshusha na pasyati, that Lord cannot be seen. Anything that you see is only mithya. Therefore, that which eyes cannot see. So if you think that I saw the Lord, that is mithya. That's not real Lord. Then what is the Lord? Yat chakshusha na pasyati, yena chakshum se pasyati, that because of which the eyes can see. That alone is God, not this that you worship. To whom He says, not to everybody. Let other people do the puja, all that. Only when you come to Saddarshana class, then only say it takes you higher. That is not. That because of which everything exists, everything is enlivened, that which pulsates everywhere, that which is present everywhere is existence itself. That darshanam is what? I am not a seer under seen duality, but I am that very nature, that understanding of oneness of that which pervades everything. That is the real Ishvara Darshanam. All other Ishvara Darshams is only in the mind projection only. So that nishtha eva saddarshanam iti avehi. Know that understanding, clear understanding, abiding knowledge that alone is real. And everything else is only notions in the mind or concepts only. And that cannot be the God. And here, essentially, the Ishvara Darshanam is as Saddarshanam.
Dvandvani sarvani akilastriputyah. Dvandvani sarvani akilastriputyah. Kinchit samashritya vibhanti vastu. Kinchit vibhanti vastu. Tanmargane syad ghalitam samastam. Tanmargane syad na pashyatam satchanalam kadapi. पश्यतां सच्चलनं कदापि द्वन्द्वात् सर्वाणि अखिलास्त्रिपुट्यः किञ्चित् समाश्रित्य विभान्ति वस्तु तन्मार्गणे स्यात् गलितं समस्तं न पश्यतां सच्चलनं कदापि.
So Dvandvani means duels. This Vyasa Maharshi uses this quite often. Nirdvandvaha. Dvandva means the pairs of opposites. The Sukham, Dukkham, Manam, Avamanam, and the Sitam, Mushnam, Sitoshna, Sukha, Dukkeshu. These all things of pairs of opposites. That's what is Dvandvam. All dualities of the whole universe of experiences. Sarvam means everything that you see. Akhilaha. Triputyaha means the triads. Triads means the trees rather. Means in every perception or every knowledge there are three things that come into picture. One is I am a seer and that is seen, and the relation between this. That means I am the pramata. I use the word, remember? Pramata is the seer, knower, and that is prameyam, that is an object that is to be known, and this pramanam is the means of knowledge between the pramata and the prameya, the connection between the two. These are the three always. Or from the point of the divisions that I mentioned, one is the jiva, another is the jagat, and Ishvara. I, the first person, you, the second person, and the third person. These three things, called 333. Or if you talk about three, that which is the waking state, or the dream state, and the deep state, three states of experiences. So all three putjas, all 333. And all that is supported by kinchit means here that something. That means something means that which is indescribable, that which cannot say it is this or something. It cannot be pointed out. It cannot be indicated as this. All that words fail in the process. That is which is beyond. But it is that which provide for all these things that you are seeing is adhara or ashritam, that supports everything, but itself cannot be seen, it cannot be felt, it cannot be pointed out. That is the kinchid. Ashritasya vibhanti vastu, that which appears as vibhanti, as the one that shining everything that is as a substantive itself. And so if I look all the three, every one of them three, there is something substantive behind all these three. In the waking state, and the dream state, and the deep sleep state, there is one that pervades all the three states. I am a waker, I am a dreamer, I am a deep sleeper, I am not a waker, I am not a dreamer, I am not a deep sleeper, I am something beyond all these three. Chaturtham manyante, they call as the fourth one, but it's not really fourth, that pervades all the three, that supports all the three, that which is Ashritanam, that which is the essence of all the three. As I am there in the waking state, but I am not a waker. I am there in the dream state, I am not a dreamer. I am there in the deep sleep state, I am not a sleeper. I am ever awake. In India, which was the text we took? Advaita Makaranda. It's a beautiful sloka we took that also. It says, I am not asleep, I am awake, witnessing consciousness, that which is witnessed, even the deep sleep state that say, I slept very well, I am there to see that I slept very well. That never sleeps. Only a sleeper one who wakes up, right? He never wakes up also. Why? Only sleeper fellow has to get up. I am always wake up. So when you go to, suppose you have a chance to go to the sun, suppose you have, and live in the sun, where What do you see? There's light always there, right? Because you are in the sun, it's bright. Now, do you know what darkness means? When you are in the sun, sitting in the sun, assume that you won't get burned. So when you are in the sun, there cannot be any darkness in the sun. The fellow who is in the sun can never see darkness at all. So there is a Swamiji used to tell us a story of Venkatrao. I don't know if you know Mr. Venkatrao. This Venkatrao, some people call him Venki, Venkanna, Venkaya, Venkappa. This Venkatrao is, I hope there's no Venkatrao here. This Venkatrao is a very obedient servant. And his boss was Narayan Rao. Let's say he's Narayan Rao. Narayan Rao has this Venkatrao as a servant. He follows law, to the rule. Whatever the boss says, he says. And in those days, there were not this electricity lights and all that. There used to be Petromox light, right? People used, I don't know if you're familiar, used to carry the Petromox light for these marriages and all that. Everywhere you had to carry that, Petromox light. I don't know if you heard of it. Assume that you heard. It's a transportable, portable light on your head. You carry it. It's done with the kerosene, anyway. And there was a marriage in their house, and the marriage party came. And they sent a message there, we don't have enough lights here, can you send some light? And some rooms are very dark. So this is coming from the bridegroom's party. So this Narayan Rao immediately says, hey, you are more dependable, Venki. You take some light. He says, what should I do? Go and put it in a place where it is dark. So he's very obedient, says, yes, he told me to place in a place where it is dark. So he carried that light on his head and went around to look around where there is darkness in the place. And went all over the place, everywhere. He couldn't find all the time, came back, said, what is this? You told me to do something I couldn't do. He says, what is this? They're still calling, they wanted a light, why did you go and bring it back? You told me to keep the light where there was a dark. I couldn't find any place where it was dark. Why? Because he was carrying the light on his head and going around. So wherever he was going, the light is already there. So in the sun, there cannot be darkness. And can you say there is a light there? Light is there only when in contrast to the darkness. Light concept also comes because of the darkness only. So neither you can see the light nor the darkness. I am neither a sleeper, nor a dreamer, nor a deep sleeper. I am that because of which sleeping is there, dream is there, deep sleep is there. I am that pervades all of them, supports all of them, different from all of them. Without me, they cannot be there. But I am none of them. And that is that who sees that completely clearly, sees tan margane syat. The one who investigates, margana means vicharam, atma vicharam, who tries to inquire what is that which supports all these things, different from all these things, yet which is there in all these things. That vicharane syat. Galitam samastam, all these things get folded into it. There is nothing other than you yourself, everything else, and you are not any of this. I am a dreamer, I am a deep sleeper, I am waker also. But at the same time, I am not a dreamer, I am not a waker, I am not a deep sleeper. All the states come from me, they are projected by me. I am in every state, but I am none of the states. You follow? The logic here says, Napasyatam sat achalam kadapi samastam. So when once I recognize, Galita means it disappears into everything, has no validity for it, no reality for it. I see, means it doesn't disappear, physically disappear. I understand it is only a mithya. And therefore, pasyatam The one who sees that there is no chalanam. No chalanam means there is no movement anymore. Means I am immovable. Immovable means because why? Because I am everywhere. Where can I move? If I am here and I am not there, then I can move from one place to other place. So I can recognize that I am that eternal, ever-present all over. That becomes my nature. And that is the clear understanding that vicharani, that means inquiring into my own nature, is the saddarshana. Let's stop here.